Good morning, welcome to 59 Minutes. My name is Levi Kones. We're going to be talking today about hope beyond grief. Hope beyond despair, the kind of hope that is there even when things have gone south. For many of us, the events of 15th of January 2019 were a news item. There was a terror attack at Dusit right here in Nairobi, and we saw what happened, Some people were injured, some people lost their lives. For Ruth Mwaniki, it was her son that she lost that day, amongst the other people who lost their lives that day. And it was a moment of grief. But that grief has borne its fruit in the form of a book called Hope Beyond Grief. We are here to talk about that book and her experience and how she has journeyed, not only in her own grief, but is now giving hope to all those who are undergoing some kind of sad situation. So join me in welcoming Ruth Mwaniki, author of the book Hope Beyond Grief. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Cons.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I'm glad you have made it here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe we just start at the very top. How would you describe yourself? Who is Ruth Mwaniki?
Ruth Mwaniki is a Christian, a mother-in-law, a wife, a former teacher. I'm a farmer. I'm an evangelist. I'm doing counseling and psychology literature. And now the newest, I'm an author.
You're an author.
I'm an author.
Yeah, it's a very nice title.
Yeah.
The events of that day, 15th January, before even you came to the point of you decided, okay, I need to write a book. Maybe take us through what happened.
Okay, it started as a normal day. In fact, we had a family function in Nakuru, and so the day went on well. But what was surprising is that at around 3, I lost my mood for no apparent reason. I became anxious, and I left the event and went back and sat in the car. And later on, I just came to understand around this time is when things were happening at the Dusit. And maybe around that same time, my son was going. So I found it a funny connection. But what happens is that generally when we got to know that it was happening and he was working there, we began the search for him to find out where he is. And many friends and family came together, and we searched for him. There was a list that was with the Red Cross. We searched in the list. We divided into groups, and we searched in all hospitals. He was not there. We searched in Chiromo, that is where they were taking the body, the bodies of the ones who had perished, and he was not there. So generally, I was like, and the rest of the family were like, where is he and how is he? And we were confused that he was somewhere hiding. And by the way, Levi, this was a Tuesday, and we searched and we went back to our homes. And on Wednesday, we continued with the same search, the same method of visiting all the hospitals in Nairobi and visiting Chiromo, the morgue, and he was not there. It was a very tense moment.
Very agonizing.
It was agonizing. And I later came to learn this search really helped us even to those many hours of search maybe helped us to get somehow prepared, although we didn't know, because we later came to realize that where they were hiding when they were shot dead by the terrorists, where they were hiding was, they were really hiding in a hidden place, far from where even the police could find them. So it was even difficult for them to be seen. They were only discovered, so to say, on Wednesday in the evening, even after we had left the place. So we were only called right alone on our way home. And in my mind, we were to continue with the search on Thursday. Yeah, so that is what happened.
How many people were discovered?
Now, my son and 6 colleagues perished together. Yeah, so they were together, 6 of them. The ones who are not gotten when everybody else's body was removed from the place.
And in the hours leading to this, discovery of their bodies, had anything run through your mind that maybe this might not be turning out well?
Things may have run in other people's minds, but and people, members of the family of other people, of the other colleagues, were all over, and some had known, or some had been told, we don't know, and they were crying. And something very interesting is that same evening on Wednesday, we were called in a central place in a certain hotel somewhere there to come together now, to leave the Chiromo site where the search was happening and meetings were happening. So we were called somewhere, and the colleagues of my late son and speeches, and they were talking of how the 6 of them, how they were.
You're talking in past tense?
They were talking in past tense, and I didn't click. My mind was was wandering to do other things. As I said before, we had a family event in Nakuru, so most of my members of the family are now come through Nairobi seeing whether Dennis is found, including my own parents. And at one time, I left this forum where the colleagues of Cellulant were telling the families, we are so sorry. It was not clicking to me, and talking in past tense. Dennis was a good person, he was a good colleague and all that. I didn't. So my mind went into my mom and dad. And I actually left that place to go and see whether they were settled, because I think they had been left somewhere at the parking. And I remember getting the concern of looking for my brother to ask him, can't you take this, now my parents, home? All that, I think, all this time I was in denial. All this time I was in deep denial. I mean, it's like, so he's not in Chiromo mortuary. He's not in any hospital. He still must be hiding somewhere, which was not the case.
Did you accept the news when you were told?
We were told when we were actually back home, because when we dispersed from this place, we were told to meet at Chiromo the following morning, Thursday. And still, it didn't click why we are meeting at Chiromo. You know, that's the most interesting bit, Levi. And there's this...
Yeah, and we all know Chiromo. I think we know it mostly for the mortuary than anything else.
Yes.
Yes.
And I said, okay, now we have to head home. And what happened again now, there was this, I saw in the crowd, this friend to my late son, and I knew they were very close. And whenever you'd come to, he was working in Embu by then, whenever you'd come to Nairobi, you'd visit him in their home. And so my concern was, where will he go? So I was looking for him, telling people to tell Javed, come, where are you going now? Because, you know, we are all going home, not to my late son's place. So that was the concern. Again, it's denial. I was in denial. I was concentrating on funny things which do not matter. I didn't really even pick that. Now, tomorrow we are meeting at 8 at Chiromo. That is to confirm and view the bodies, but still it didn't click. Until we were home, I think these people also noticed I was in deep denial. I don't know about my husband, but they noticed. So they didn't even tell us that we have retrieved these bodies. They told my brother, Peter, and he's the one who called my husband later when we were in the house that evening. And now so many people have come with us back home. I was even wondering, I mean, I was in denial. I can't say that anything was clicking to me that my son is not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read your book. You give us a very good account of how your son was growing up, you know, going through schools, even getting to where he was working,
Yeah.
you know, and he was seemingly quite adept at everything he was doing and making very big strides for his young age.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, a role model to his brother and his sister.
Yes, yeah.
You know, because you have 3 children.
Yes.
And then you mentioned about, you know, that he had just had a wedding, just about 5 or 6 months prior.
Yeah, exactly, actually 5.
5 months.
His wedding was on 28th August 2018, and his burial was on 25th in January 2019. So he was 5 months married, actually.
5 months married.
Yeah.
This is not something anybody would be seeing.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Actually, let me say that 2018 was my best year so far. It was very exciting. This is what every mother would wish to see. Your firstborn getting married, and the event and all the ceremonies, the traditional ones, even the church one, went on so smoothly. I think that is the year. I was telling somebody that is the year I shopped the most. We had events from event to another, and it was so good. And Christmas now, the first Christmas 2018, we spent together. See this mother now with a daughter-in-law.
Yes.
And a married son.
Yes.
I actually I was doing press-ups now to wait for grandchildren.
I know,
yeah,
can imagine.
So it was a great change of events, and it was complicated. It was very difficult. That is one of the questions I kept on asking God. Why did you allow that? And it's like taking me so much high and then dropping me to the lowest level that any human being can be. Yes.
You know, they say sometimes that, you know, those who have gone before leave us some kind of hint. Did you, looking back, do you feel like there were any clues your son left?
Yes, let me say yes. Actually, one of the things I've written in my book is that there are no accidents. What now I may not know. Some of these things, Levi will get to know when we get to heaven. But one thing that now I've come to understand is that there are no accidents. There are no accidents in God's plan. The only thing that now we may not know whether the person knew that he's going. But anyway, there were all indications. He made his house in order. He left his wife, well, quote unquote, comfortable. Because I remember one time that after his marriage, he was in a great hurry to settle. You know, from the house that he lived in alone to a bigger house now for a married person.
For a family, yes.
And he was on leave that January is when he was really concentrating on it. And he was painting and setting it down and fixing everything. I remember the an item that they were expecting from a fundi, and he kept on calling me and telling me, "Mom, these people are annoying," because they were supposed to deliver those foodies, because they were supposed to deliver. Now, see, they are not delivering, and because it was some kind of furniture. I asked him, "What is your biggest hurry? Because you are two in the house and somehow comfortable." You have you have the basic furniture that you need for two people.
Pressure.
What is the earliest? Because he was really annoyed. Anyway, finally they delivered, and some things like he was extremely happy around those last 2 weeks. And like I remember one day, the previous day he called me. He was in Nairobi. I was back home in the rurals, and he called me. And we talked, and we talked, and we talked. He appeared very happy. So I knew there must be something he's telling me. in any case, he has called me during the day. In my family, we connect in the evening. Actually, we have a fellowship together online in the evening. But this time he has called me in the middle of the day. And we have talked, and he's sounding happy and happy and happy. So now I asked him, so what are you saying? And he said in Kiswahili, Mom, nikukusalimia tu. And I was like, hey, salam, okay. So what you are, going back to your question, it's like he left hints. Even there's a note that he had left and he's stuck in his notebook what he wanted to do throughout that year. Some of the things that we are going to implement. And even the wife told me the same, that he was happy throughout. And that particular morning, he gave him an unusually long hug in the morning. And he told him, I'll see you in the evening. And this long hug, by the way, she later told me whenever she was so much down, she would feel it. She would feel the tightness sometimes because it was so unique, so tight. So maybe it was Kwaheri, I don't know.
Because even you speak in the book about a verse that I think he wrote to her.
Yes. Yeah. That's a verse in Ecclesiastes.
Yes.
And it says, go. And it's like when you're on this earth, do the best that you can do and be happy. Do what you can do because this life is short. And where you are going to the grave, there is no work.
There is no work.
He had cycled somewhere in the Bible and sent it with many other things to the wife. So the wife, within that week, so it's like she asked him, what are all these things that you are sending me? And he said, I'm just cleaning my phone. And for sure, that phone was, because it was not possible to open it. Many things happened to it. It was spoiled. For sure, it was clean. And anything that she may have needed now was in her phone.
There's something you mentioned about there being no accident. You know, a lot of us, when we go through grief, we question if this could have happened this way or that way. You have written in your book that your son was reporting back to duty that day. He had been on leave, and it so turned out that this was the day. He was. If he had come back a day later, maybe he would not have, been in that. When you look at it from that perspective, did you have to grapple with any questions yourself as you thought about it?
First of all, even as I've written this book, it's not that I didn't ask many questions. It's not that I didn't cry. I grieved, then like anybody else. At some point, I was wondering whether will I ever sleep, because for a long time I couldn't sleep at all. I could cry a whole night. In fact, my husband really suffered because it's busy during the day, but at night it will now creak and
in the quietness of the
yes,
of the night.
And I would cry a whole night. But later on, when I looked at all these things, and God brought very many things in my mind, that's when I came up with there are no accidents. God has plans for everybody. And in Psalms 139, we are told that when you are born, when you are being knitted in your mother's womb, the days allotted to you are clearly written in his book. That is the first that consoled me, because I knew this day and to come. The day that God had allotted for my son was that day, and nothing could have been done. Even if it was not a terror attack, even if it was just not waking up from his bed that day, even if it's an accident or just falling down, he had to go because the day had come. And this is sometimes where we go wrong. And this is how now I even came up with forgiveness. I've talked about forgiveness. Because sometimes we blame, and when we blame, we are not able to heal. Because even if your person has passed through a road accident, you are likely to blame the driver, isn't it? When people are in hospital, you blame them, the doctor, the hospital,
the
and
care,
you have,
yeah.
I wish we did this. And sometimes the family gets divided because it is Franny who recommended in this hospital. That doctor did not come in time.
True.
All these things are there. So there are no accidents. That's my take.
Very well said. We're going to take a fast break. We're speaking to the author, Ruth Mwaniki, authored the book Hope Beyond Grief. We'll be right back after this message. Don't go away.